And Diane here. Hi. Hello, hello. She's here. She's here. She's ready to go. All right. So, Diana, what I'm going to do is share us out and make sure that as many people as possible in the community know that we're live. And then, hi, Melody. Oh, I heard there'd be snacks too. I heard there'd be snacks. Hi, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So I'm just going to share us out. And Diana, what I'll do is I'll let you know when I'm going to invite you. And I just realized I forgot how to do that. Oh, yeah. Wait. Yes, this is how I do it. Okay. You'll just have to, Diana, leave. Basically, I'll tell you to leave the live and you accept it outside of the live. I know that doesn't quite make sense, but that's according to district how they have it. So if you're watching me, you'll have to just leave and then I'll invite you. But give me like 2 minutes. I'm so glad we have so many live viewers already. I haven't even made the announcements. Hi, Jay. Oh, where you'll just, again, in a few minutes, you'll just leave this live and just be on the app, like as if you're about to make a listing or something. This is my Varsity S. Should we do this for, we should make varsity jackets for Vintage Jewelry Addicts. So my friends are Thrifters Anonymous. And they had these jackets made. Oh my gosh, we should make Vintage Jewelry Addicts. And it should say addicted right there. That would be great. Okay, hold on. I'm getting very distracted. This is not about me, guys. Diana will be leading our conversation very shortly. So join our educational series kickoff live now. Meet Diana. Yay! From Arctic. Everybody give it up for Diana in the comments. Arctic Angels Treasures, discussing more expert topics on vintage jewelry identification. That's what we'll call it. How do you spell identification? Anyone else trapped with spell check where you have forgotten how to actually spell? 16 live viewers. This is incredible. Welcome in, everyone. I'm so excited too because Diana is, hi, Phoenix Caged. Diana, you will not scare anyone. I scare people daily here on Vintage Jewelry Addicts. I will say hi to Shayna and Enwina for sure. I'm wearing their jacket right now. Yep, this is my MJ button. Probably circa 1982 MJ. Not quite. And then, yeah, I love New York. So, Diana, we have 16 live viewers. So momentarily, I'll ask you to just leave the live, just be on the app. You'll see a request to join Sammy's live or Samantha, whatever it shows up. You press accept and it should merge us. And then anyone who's viewing, you'll probably have to toggle between us to actually see Diana. I want to be the small guy in the upper left-hand corner. I'm just a fly in the wall, literally. So we'll discuss that. And then I have an amazing handout from Diana that I'm going to put in the chat of the live as well as our community chat so that you guys can open up the handout on Google and you can check out the resources that she's put together for us. I want to thank Diana so much for her time. I asked her to do this because every single live sale, and she is a subscriber, and she hosts her live sales on the weekends. But she is constantly giving us information about the jewelry, going into really nitty-gritty information. And she's a wealth of knowledge. And I wanted her to inspire us. Here at Vintage Jewelry Addicts, we do not expect perfection. I am learning each and every day. But to continue to build this community and to be better buyers, sellers, and collectors, hey, let's learn together. Let's empower each other. And so, Diana, thank you for taking this time. And Diana will be hosting a live sale at 8 p.m. on Corky. If you guys are not familiar, that's another vintage clothing and accessories. They do clothing as well. So you can go shop her live sale, or you can shop her live sale this weekend. So Diana, we're going to have her until about 7 p.m. max. Ask questions, comment, and let's do this. So Diana, yes, Diana, give it up for Diana. So Diana, when you're ready, leave the chat. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to leave. Just go on the app, and then I'm going to request you to join, and hopefully we can do this. Hi, Mama Meg. How are you? I highlighted some of your items last night during our Founders Finds. Thank you for being here. We're about to kick off our educational series. Ready for the purple hair from Diana. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so guys, you know technology. You know how technology can be. So I am finding her, and this is a way that you guys can have a duo live sale if you ever want to do one together. Message myself or Jamie. So I'm inviting her to co-host, and she just accepted. Oh my gosh! I'm trying.
So hopefully, when I have to turn the camera around, I won't mess things up.
You look great. Oh my gosh! Everybody, give it up for Diana in the comments.
I hope you love my hair. Thank you. My very good bestie, did it for me for my birthday, but the gal that didn't quite do it right, so my son paid to fix it. So everybody loves me. I was oh, okay. Hopefully I can flip the main screen.
Okay, no worries.
Okay.
No rush.
If I can't, I can't. I'll just do. I have a really good camera, because and it shows every skin cell. So okay. Today, mostly what we're going to talk about is like how to identify really antique jewelry. And then some differences, because there's a lot of stuff out there that really kind of bothers me that it's out there, but there's nothing I can do about it. It's coming in from another country, primarily, actually several countries, but one primarily. We all know which one that might be. And so I'm going to show you some differences. It's really difficult to spot. I know, right? It's really difficult to spot in pictures if you're buying it online. So I'm going to show you what to look for and ask questions about it so you can see it. Because if they won't show you, then that means they know or should know. If they don't know, I recently got a piece from a gal, and she's like, well, I don't think that this is pot metal. I'm like, oh, I know pot metal. I can tell. I have a great eye. Yeah. So I didn't know until I actually got the piece and looked very closely at it, um, that that it wasn't what I thought it was, but not what she sold it to me as. So that being said, I also have some ethical things I kind of want to talk about, probably near the end. I don't want to bore you guys terribly. So let's start with Samantha. I sent you a pin, and I'm sorry because after I sent it to you, I learned how to buff out glass enough to where it actually looks better. But if I have this whole little pile of stuff here, and hopefully I brought it down. There it is. Is this it? Okay. So this is, and I put together sheets so you guys will have lots and lots of reference places to go. My favorite has been Morning Glory since I started selling online. I think that was probably the only site, but Morning Glory has so much of a collection of how to identify old pieces. You can find some patents there, that kind of thing. So, but you have to look. You can't just go on Google search and go, oh, well, I don't know what this is. I'm not an expert. I am a student of learning. I learn something new every day. I don't pretend to know everything. I take critique very, very well because there are a lot of people out there that know more than I do. Another place that I'm really fond of, but I don't really like the way it searches, is Lang's Antiques. They have a whole like collection of maker's marks, and that can really help you sometimes. Today I was looking for I think I brought it down, a mark on a bracelet. This is Art Deco. And I was looking for the mark because it said, I knew I'd seen it before, and I'd looked it up before, but I couldn't remember because it's been that long. And it says PRST Company or Co. And so I was like, I couldn't find it on Lang's Antiques, but then when I finally Googled PRST Co., it brought Lang's Antiques up, and then I was able to find out who made it and that it was only signed during that year, 1934. So don't just go online and Google a piece and think, oh, well, this says Victorian, so it must be Victorian, because most sellers do that, and most of them get it wrong. There's a difference between Victorian, Victorian revival in the 40s, which was done because of the war, because they could no longer really had ability to get the rhinestones and the stones from Germany and Austria and those places. So they actually made a lot of metal. They also used a lot of sterling. That's when the real Jelly Bellies came out. Oh, and while I'm on Jelly Bellies, they're everybody calls something with a cab in it a Jelly Belly. That is not a Jelly Belly. A Jelly Belly is really from a specific time period. But it did kind of extend into the 50s. Some designers maybe used lucite in the 60s, but I don't think so. But it is a lucite piece that's clear in sterling silver, and there are only so many of them. If it has a colored piece in it and it says, oh, here's a Jelly Belly, $500. No, it's not. It's not a Jelly Belly. A lot of the big designers made Jelly Bellies, but yes, a Jelly Belly is clear and it's lucite. It's typically, I know, right? It's typically put into sterling silver because it was used during the war as a alternative to rhinestones because they couldn't get it. So clear lucite, yes, not well, some of the crowns, they call them Jelly Belly crowns that came out of that same era that have colored lucite in them, but that's not actually a Jelly Belly. That's just somebody kind of attaching a buzzword to it. So, I know I had Samantha during one of my lives saying, oh, Victorian, Victorian, and it was Victorian revival. And I did not have a book chain from that's Victorian to show you. But what I can tell you is that the Victorian revival book chains that came out in the 40s and the 70s are typically thinner. They're more uniform cut. Back in the Victorian age, they used, even though they started using machines to cut things, it was still thicker. So that's kind of how you can tell if it's thin and it's uniform and it looks newer. It probably was made in the 40s or the 60s, 70s when they were more the 70s when we were doing that romantic thing, tying our skirts and putting the, so we could show the lace, that, that kind of. Where was he? So maybe I'll turn the camera around because I can always turn it back. I don't, oh, here, I can flip it. Perfect. I covered Emmy up so that she would not. Okay. Okay, I'll try to leave lots of time. I chat a lot. Um, so oh, I have some cameos to talk about. So we'll talk about cameos while when I turn it around. So, okay, so I'm going to turn it around and think about your questions, and I can still see them, but I covered Emmy up because I didn't want her to distract you. You know how she can be. Let me see if I can get this right without tipping the camera over. Ha! Look at that. I'm a pro. I am a pro. Okay. So first, Jamie, are you here? I don't want Jamie to feel bad, but I'm going to show you I'm going to show you this beautiful piece that I got from Jamie in a repair lot. Okay, there was a time period called Belle Epoque. I think I'm saying that right. It looks like it's spelled Belle Epoque, but it's Belle Epoque. So I haven't taken to my appraiser yet, but I am going to take it to her. I don't know if I'm going to pay to appraise. But the minute I felt it, and if you've been handling jewelry at all, you should at least be able to feel and see how smooth gold is. And so you can kind of feel, at least if it's gold plated. Well, the minute I took it out of the bag, and I had it for like 2 months before I took it out of a bag, right? I looked at it and I went, oh man, this is gold. And if you look real close, you can see there's some kind of a emblem there. I think it might say France on it. So Belle Epoque era kind of overlapped the end of the Victorian era, the Art Nouveau, Edwardian, and it really didn't die out until World War One. But and Belle Epoque also means beautiful. But if you look at it, you can see there's kind of it's almost always has like a real scrolly kind of design. But if you ever feel anything that feels like gold, test it. It may just be gold plated, but so you can tell this is a later Belle Epoque piece because of the clasp. I'm thinking right before World War II, or I mean World War One, probably. I'm thinking about 1915 because these clasps really started becoming popular and developing in about 1911. Also, if you look here, see if I'm seeing it right. You look here on the end, you can see that see if I can get it to focus without. So if you look at the hinge is not, it has a little like nail in it. It's not a nail, like a little stud, but it's really a rendition of the tube hinge, and it's not quite refined yet to what we use now. But you can see that by this time that this piece was made, that these were the modern type of closures and hinges that we're using today. They really have not changed a lot. Okay, so I just wanted to show that because it's a beautiful example of Belle Epoque in the later years, and you can see the clasp on it is so much is more refined than what you're going to see in a minute. Now, we were talking about cameos. Now, I got to tell you the truth. This cameo, I popped it out, I think, because it was so ugly. Because not all cameos are beautiful. So if you look at this hinge, this is a tube hinge. Most, I've seen it a little bit after after 1885, 1890, that are not tube hinges, that look more like the hinge we just looked at, where it's maybe a little fatter. It's kind of a cross between this hinge and the Bella Poe hinge we just looked at. So this hinge here, if it doesn't have one of these hinges, 99% sure it's not Victorian. There are a few. I just saw one recently that was stamped 1990, or I'm sorry, 1987. But these hinges were actually used a little bit into the 1900s, but not really. And this, of course, is a C class. Now, if it has this hinge on it, it dates the piece. If it has a safety clasp on it, it's probably been replaced, which is not uncommon, and it doesn't really hurt the value of the piece. People did that a lot because those safety clasps really changed the way things were made. Anyway, so that is a very, very good example of a Victorian tube hinge. Don't forget it. And when you're looking at jewelry, whether you're doing it live in person or whether you're doing it online, always ask to see the hinge, because the hinge is really going to help you date it as much as the clasp. Let's see. Okay, so here's another good example of early, right after tube hinges kind of were going out. This is early 1900s Edwardian. So the Edwardian era went right into about 1911. So you will see some of these hinges. This one looks like, I think it's this one, maybe not. Looks like it might have been replaced, because that did happen. So another thing you'll see on a lot of these is real marcasites. Now, a real marcasite will have the little like a diamond top. It won't have like a flat top. So that's kind of important. Let's see. So I just actually sold this, and I'm going to show it to you because it's another example of an early safety hinge here. This is an Edwardian piece. But the interesting thing is, it took me a really long time to sell it, because what does it say on it? It says China. Not everything signed by China is bad. Back in those days, it did go out about then, yep. Back in the early 1900s, China put out some beautiful pieces, including Cinnabar, which a lot of people died for. So this is the clasp, and you see how it, whoops, sorry. You see how it kind of opens differently, but it's got that big old fat tail on it. And then this is the hinge, and it looks like a kind of a cross between the tube because of that big thing that's in there. That's how they kept the little eye pin in. But it also has kind of a weird little inside. It's not like just a circle with an eye hole in it anymore. And well, I think you've seen enough clasps. If you want to see more, I have some more. Oh, here's a good example of marcasite. I think if I can get it to show how the marcasites were formed differently so they would shine. A marcasite is actually fool's gold. I don't know if I can get them to. No, maybe not. Okay, never mind. Where were we? So I'm going to show you two pieces now that are. One was a terrible disappointment because all you know how much I love pot metal. Pot metal is my favorite, and I think it's because when I work on it, it really kind of keeps me really focused. So this is an old sew-on piece. You see the holes in it? They sewed the jewelry on to the garment. That's actually how Eisenberg started. And then he started putting pins in it, and then people started stealing it. What's that little thing say there? Made in Czechoslovakia. The Czech Republic, I think, is what it was at the time. They went through so many different eras over there, but it was always the same perfect thing. And see how the stones are different? They have like, they're actually called chatons. They have like a little cap on them. They're not flat like the rhinestones you see now. So if you're ever replacing stones like this, you have to be careful that you make sure that they all match. Like this one here. Where'd it go? Does not match. Oh yeah, I guess it does. I thought I saw one that was flat. Anyway, this is what I got. And I bought it, and the woman had even taken the picture, I swear to you, and made it look silver. Had exactly. Can you see all what's wrong with it? Yep. First off, it's got Aurora Borealis stones on it. So we know it wasn't made until after 1957. If you turn it over, it's like this foreign country tried really hard to hit all the markers. Up first, they were made a sew-on piece. Then they made it a brooch pendant. Okay, you'll never really see that to get 1957. You will never really see that in a true sew-on piece unless somebody added this, but nobody added this. Now, if you look at the back, you can see how the metal is, how it was poured into. And it's just kind of scraped looking. So if you're looking at a piece online, keep those things in mind. They might be able to fake a few things. Like they did a pretty good job. Not really. You see how that hinge is dented in? That's kind of how the new ones go. And like I said, the other one has kind of like a pin in it. Well, this one does not. It just has a thing where they squish it together and put the pin in. They did a pretty good job with the clasp. That's a pretty old looking clasp. But if she would have shown me the side view of this and not made it look silver, because I didn't even see these till I got it. And I went, what is this? I would have known. So I didn't pay a lot for it. I keep it as a reminder. Don't forget to check, because sometimes I get in, yes, this is modern, like probably made in the last 15 years or less. Like they probably went on Wish or Temu or somewhere like that and bought it for $1 and sold it to me. I know, right? Yeah. Sold it to me for $20 because I thought it was pot metal and I wanted to add it to my collection. Yep. So remember that. This is another example of, where'd I put it? Of, there. And I'm not going to go, I'm going to show you the shiny back. Now this looks rhodium plated. I'm pretty sure it is rhodium plated. Okay? But and if you look at it in the view, it looks like pot metal. Maybe not in my camera because I have a great camera, but you know, it wasn't bad pictures. There's a lot of pot metal that has rhinestones in one place, and then like did this piece even have it? And then like just not rhinestones, but pieces like that in it, where they might have a few little dots of just metal. But this is how I should have known. You see the clasp? You see how bad that clasp is? Can you see it? It's not the clasp, it's the way it's connected. First off, it shouldn't be that far up. Okay, these particular types of pins, this part was always connected to the base. There was no, like, I don't know, pedestal. This would have been a good clue too, because that too is up on a pedestal. But I didn't ask to look at the back. I just saw it and I went, oh, I think I've seen that in my book. I need it, I need it, I need it. I know. So I did it to myself. I love the seller, and I just know that she only knew it probably wasn't pot metal, because she did tell me that. But these are the kinds of things that you're going to come across more and more. They're going to look like this, and you're going to go, pot metal. I'll buy that and sell it to Diana for 5 times as much. And I know we all do it, but this is how you tell. And this is why I'm doing the show, and this is why I'm showing this piece, because this is what you ask to see before you buy. And my window's too small. Her window's too small. Well, because I need my window. Reverse them. Okay. So again, ask always to see these, because you will know right away. And here's another beautiful piece. It's missing a couple stones. I need to repair it. Just as shiny on the back, right? It's just as beautiful and shiny. But look at where the hinge is compared to the other one. And look at where the hinge or the clasp is compared to the other one. This is a really well-made piece, going into the probably not early 40s. It's probably, I don't know, man. They did a lot of really nice work back then. Rhodium plated. It may be 50s. I know they kind of tried to revive that whole pot metal thing in the 50s, but the style is different. A lot of pot metal will look like this on the back, more than the shiny stuff. But Trifari and Eisenberg, you've seen, I've shown a couple Eisenbergs, or at least posted them. Trifari, Eisenberg, those types of companies, they rhodium plated everything, and it was all just fabulous. This is another piece from that same era, but it's sterling silver, but you still see the clasp. That's how you can identify it. You still see the clasp. And these clasps were actually, they have on the inside of the mechanism, they have like a little edge where they fit in there. And if they don't fit right, like, they're really hard to fix, because if they don't fit right, you don't have, and this is an older piece. This is World War II. And you see they're still doing that whole pin in there instead of the divots. But it's sterling silver. That's why I know when it was made. I'm working on it, missing a couple stones. This is a dressy clip. Now, I'm going to show you 2 different kinds of dressy clips. And they're called dressy clips, actually. People call them dress clips. Some of them call them shoe clips. Shoe clips actually are real, but they're usually small. The modern ones. The older ones were bigger, about that big, about maybe an inch and a half. Um, but this is a dressy clip, sometimes called a fur clip because of the prongs. Very early, turn of the century. Probably American arts and crafts versus some of the others. I'm not going to call it Art Deco because it really doesn't fit. So that's another thing about calling jewelry what it is. You kind of have to study the style a little bit to know the difference between Belle Époque, Art Deco, when the period started. Because if you get something that's should be dated around World War II, that's not Art Deco, that's World War II. That's actually retro. Art Deco kind of ended about 1935. So started about 1915. It kind of overlapped Art Nouveau. Art Nouveau started in the 1890s something. I want to say 97. It was kind of short-lived. But it it was really important because it changed the way they did art. Arts and crafts movement actually started about 1867, but it didn't come over to America until about the 1900s. So there's arts and crafts from England, and then there's American arts and crafts. And arts and crafts was kind of a bucking the system, um, first against all of the jewelry that people were forced to wear, called mourning jewelry. And then because when Prince Philip, oh, I don't remember his name. Anyway, when that king died that was married to Queen Victoria, she made everybody wear black until she died. And that's really mourning jewelry, the mourning jewelry period. But there's mourning jewelry that's newer than that because people wore it. They make hair, they take people's hair and make necklaces and put it in lockets and that kind of thing. So this is a or a dressy clip, but it is Victorian Revival. And the reason I can tell this, and it's even repulsed, which means it was hammered from the other side. Um, on the other side is the exact reverse opposite of this side. So, and then it's put on another piece. But the reason I can tell is kind of by the metal and by the way that it's coated. This is a newer type of coating. This is just a different way, the way the hinges work. So you really kind of have to study how each hinge, I don't have a lot of different, I didn't think about fur clip hinges, but that if you all you got to kind of do is look online. There's a lot of pages that are just hinges. That's kind of how I identified a unsigned Eisenberg recently, like within the last 6 months, was because it had the same back part, the clip, as some of the other Singer pieces did. There are a lot of people say Eisenberg always signed his work, but he did not until 1930. Ralph Singer and Agani from Italy, they made a lot of people's jewelry, and Eisenberg was one of them. Eisenberg had to start signing their jewelry because people were stealing it. Now I'll go to this kind of a hinge because this piece is actually, I got this from you too, Jamie. I'm sorry. It's actually an early enamel piece, but it had a really good tube hinge on it. So there are a couple of different, let me see, a couple of different kinds of tube hinges. You see, I got to pull it out. Okay, a tube hinge works like this. It was like one of the first safety hinges, and they actually started using them in about 1860. This is after 1900s, but before they kind of died out with the tube hinge in about 1940. Some say 60. I don't know. So this is gold plated, but it's turn not about the 1900s. And if you look at that, what the tube hinge did was it goes one of two ways. This one goes this way, and it fits over the C hinge, the C clasp, and then it pushes in so that your pin is sturdy and doesn't come out. Another kind of tube hinge you might see that I don't have an example of is that, or trombone hinge is also what they call it because it goes in and out. Trombone, boop, boop. So on this side, I have like a little ball, and that little ball kind of slides up and fits over the C clasp. Yes, a trombone. Yeah, you got it. So, trombone clasp. Ugh, I'm easily distracted by the jewelry. Anyway, in and out, if it can be on either side. You see how it slides? Did you see that? So, also it can slide from this side and it will fit over the C clasp. Somebody asked about cameos, so we're gonna talk a little bit about how to identify a cameo. And I don't think I have any good cameos. I usually don't keep cameos around too much if they aren't old. And if they're really ugly, I take them out and then I start looking for, because there are some really ugly cameos out there. They're just like chopped, like somebody used a sawzall to carve them. This is a really nice one. And you can see the older ones, I believe the nose changed around the Art Deco period. So an old cameo, if you look at it, will have a Roman nose. It will have a straight nose. The better the cameo is told by certain things, usually how it's carved. A lot of detail in the hair. Some of the most valued ones have the hair that comes down, more so than this one. This is actually resin. It's a later model. I think it's a pretty good copy. It's not anywhere close. It's post, maybe be right around the end of the World War II, but still got a Roman nose to it. But it's done in resin to make it look like it's done in shell. But it has a lot of detail in the hair, and so that's what you're looking at when you're looking at cameos. You really want to look for detailed hair. This one has a lot of curls, but if you look at it, same straight flat nose. The newer cameos, but probably around 1950, started getting a little turned up nose, and you'll see them, especially on Sarah Coventry stuff. Where else have I seen them a lot on? Avon. So those, it's the nose. You can tell by the nose. And typically those are made in some type of a resin plastic versus, like this is, I don't even know, this is a resin plastic. Okay, and it's might be in an older setting, but you can see on the back it's plastic. It's not even glass. A lot of cameos like this, or cameo type pieces like this one, are molded glass. There were some actually made of celluloid back in the early 1900s, but most of them are glass or they're carved in shell. Do you have any more questions? Yeah, 1950s plus, turned up noses. So this guy has a straight nose. They are sometimes. This one's actually, I think this is made out of shell. What do they call it? Or coral. Angel skin coral. Sometimes they're translucent, and usually if you put a light behind them, yes, you can kind of see that there. Um, they, although sometimes they're set into just a flat piece and you can't tell at all. But that is how you can tell, and you can tell if you get really close in pictures online, so you don't end up buying a lot. Oh, a lot of Victorian cameos that all have turned up noses, and they're all resin. So that's what we're trying to. Yeah, but what you can tell is whether they have straight noses or not. Um, This one is not made of shell, and you can tell because it has a chip here, but you also, if you turn them around on the back, you can usually tell that's a resin. I don't know what kind of resin, but it is a resin. Here's another nice one. Oh wait, did I do that one? I think I did that one. So I think that's all the cameo guys that I brought down. I usually keep my more expensive pieces upstairs. Um, just because here's another example of a nice belly Poe late. You see, it's got that weird little clasp. I wish I could make a test. That's a little different type of a hinge. Now, see, this is you can tell that they were just kind of learning how to do the hinge thing because that has a piece that steadies this one. Weird, I know. Probably so it doesn't flip back, and some of these actually seem to go backwards when you're doing them. Yep. So see? I don't know why it's like that. Maybe to keep it from folding all the way down and breaking. They were really creative back then. Well, clarifying that question, who am I talking to? Vintage. Oh, okay. So well, I'm gonna kind of go out on the limb. They still make shell cameos. I think they come out of Italy, and some of them are just carved beautifully. So then you would go to and look at a setting to see what it's set in. This one, you can see the hinge, the clasp, the way the setting is made, that it's not a newer setting. So they do make beautiful carved shell cameos to this day. Typically, the ones that you are going to find online for sale in lots or for sale. Cameos got really big, and I think it was about during the 70s, because we kind of went back into we went from being hippies to being kind of we were either into we actually went into disco and then maybe into a romantic period. But I remember my mom buying cameo resin cameo earrings for somebody. Um, so I know they were for sale back in then, but those are the ones that are going to have the turned up noses. And that's really the best guide I can tell you. They did make certain kind of resin cameos back in um, the late or the early 1900s. Those were usually made out of vulcanite. I have one somewhere. I lost it. I wanted to show you. Vulcanite is a type of rubber that now they make tires out of. So what does this look like to you if you're online and you're looking at a lot? Okay, maybe it was the 80s. Was that when we were tying up our skirts? So does this look like something that, oh man, I bet that could be something really good, like a Weiss or a something. Yep. Yeah, no. At the back. Do you see how this metal is got, ah, I know, see? So this one got me too. I keep these guys around to remind myself. Well, actually, I didn't know I'd do this show. To remind myself, look at this crap on the back. See how the stones, they didn't even have the nerve. Now, sometimes when I'm looking at stuff, I can't necessarily see hinges or see prongs, but I do look for them more so now. But even in the late 60s, they didn't always use prongs. So, but this is a piece of crap that I keep clarifying for our viewers. Yeah, these holes back here are, it's like the mold that they poured them in. So if you look at this belt buckle, and I think they're just trying to copy what they see. I know sometimes I cringe when I send a piece, an old piece overseas that's hard to find. um, I'm gonna say no, but when it looks like that, I'm gonna say yes. Okay, I have another piece that's kind of old that has similar of these, but they're fewer and far between. And what I think they're trying to do is replicate a bunch of different styles. Now you see this guy, this is a belt sash. Somewhere between 1900 and 1940. Really don't know, but you see how it's got the divots, but the divots come out. That's because when they poured these, they actually poured them for the stones to fit in so they could glue them in. And they didn't make a little divot like that for all of them, but I think this is what they're trying to replicate somehow, and they're not seeing it correctly. Or, and the problem is that all you new girls, all you young whippersnappers, all you young whippersnappers, you don't think anything older than 80s is vintage. No, I mean, you guys think 80s is vintage. Like, I was alive in the 80s. I guess I'm vintage, but I guess it's 40 years old now, but it's like, to me, vintage and that's retro, and vintage to me is like, you know, pot metal, 20s to 40s. So, not for you. I know, and you're still a young whippersnapper, Gypsy. So, anyway, when you are looking at jewelry, make them flip it over. If you see stuff like that, don't buy it. If you see the stone sticking out, it's either a really bad repair job or it is fake. It's a I guess I can't say it's fake because it's not fake. It's a repro. But they even used, I know what they were trying to do. They were trying to make it look like a Weiss because they even used the smoke glass. Weiss is the first one to use the smoky glass. Oh, hey, Faye, what's up, girl? So this is I don't know if I'm running out of time here. I want to show you this. I oh, I did. Okay. I want to show you this versus this is a C clasp that I do not believe is missing a safety catch. Although it could be. But see how kind of square it is? Oops, sorry. Okay, so this is piece actually had for sale for a minute. It's just Art Nouveau, so it's pre 1915, but it could have had a safety clasp or even they made homemade safety clasps for a while. So it could have had that, but okay. You see this one here? This is not a C clasp. This is a broken piece. Okay? And I'm going to show you how you can tell. Don't sell it as a C clasp, please. Be honest with what you're selling. You see that little lip there? Remember I said there's a little lip in some of those? Well, this is celluloid, post 1927, because it doesn't smell. And you see that? That is a broken hinge or a broken clasp. Just say it's broken. Or figure out how to fix it. Or change, this is harder to change the pin. This is made in 1945 or later, between 1945 and 1953, because it's made in, whoopsie, occupied Japan. Oops. And anything that came out of Japan after we won the war had to be stamped occupied Japan, and I think that they stopped doing that in 1953, if I'm not mistaken. You will see C clasps on, and even especially newer jewelry, you are going to see C clasps on things. Even in the 60s and 70s, I remember I was so happy when our Girl Scout pins came with safety clasps. And I was 8 years old, so that would have been 1968. So they were still selling C clasps back in then. 1953. That is what I thought. Yeah. Oh, that's you. Okay. So this is what's important and what I think is important for you to take away from this. Be a student. Always be a student. Don't just go online, Google Lens it, eBay it, go, oh, this is what it is, boom, because it's probably not. If you're not sure, say you're not sure, because vintage jewelry addicts, the road they're headed down, and some of the other groups I work with, I don't work with wishy-washy groups, except eBay. We won't go there. The only way that we're going to be able to command what and bring the prices of our jewelry up, like I watch another Facebook group, they get top dollar for all of their stuff. They really do. Is that if we are honest and we tell people this is what it is, or this is, I think it might be this. This is what my research shows, or I know this is it because this is how I identified it. Like I can say it's something, and most people are pretty comfortable with it, but I'll tell you, if I don't know, I will say, I don't know, because I don't want to mislead you. Yeah, well, we're not going to talk about eBay. I'm good on eBay. I have a very good reputation. Don't call something Victorian when you know it's Victorian revival, and now you know honesty is the best policy. You have to have some ethics in what you're doing. If you're going to try to repair something, don't put a stone in that doesn't match, and you know it doesn't match, and you're just going to hope they don't notice. Because somebody who's collecting a piece of jewelry will notice. And if it's missing a stone, just say it's missing a stone, and either they'll buy it or they won't. But you don't want to sell something that A, is going to look bad for you, because your customer base will suffer for it. And it's very important. And I can't stress enough that to be a student of what you're selling, it may take you longer than the piece is worth to figure it out. But then once you know, you know. So the next time it will be faster and easier. You don't know how many hours I decided that I was going to learn about antique jewelry because I got a couple of pieces in that I just knew weren't new. And I spent so many hours last fall learning about how to identify cameos, how to identify hinges, how to identify chains. All of those things are like it's just something you learn, but once you know, then it's good. And I have a lot of pieces that are missing stones. Like I showed one of them today. I'm not sure. I might have another, but there's nothing bad about fixing them. There are some good sites. I'm learning how to refoil stones right now. That's what I'm learning how to do because you can't get these old stones anymore. So it's important to replace things, to do things correctly, have some ethics. Don't sell something you know. If you don't know, you don't know. But don't sell something that you know is wrong. At least not out of Vintage Jewelry Addicts. If you want to do something like that, do it out of eBay. They'll deal with it. Questions? Quickly, I know. I ran, oh my gosh, I ran way late. I'm so
You're
sorry.
fine. Totally fine. If anyone has questions, please ask, but also know that we have a community chat and I've shared this great Google Doc. Thank you so much, Diana, for sharing links to resources so that we can all do more research. And you guys can head to that chat. You click the link, it opens on Google. And then if you have any questions to ask Diana or the community, you're welcome to ask them there as well.
Yeah, and I don't mind. I'm really bad at going in daily. I check my personal chats. I check my personal messengers, but I'm really bad at going in and doing all the little tasks daily because I am just really crazy busy. And it's not all because of jewelry. I just have a wild life. So I had to dye my hair so people would see that so I would show up. My grandson's okay with it. So, and he's the one that's got to have me at his football game. So I didn't, so he's okay. He says, it looks better than it did. And I went, oh, good. So thank you all. If you have any questions, I will try at least for the next few days to check general chat. All of those links should be good. I double checked them. I found some new ones. I love you too, Jeps. I'll see you soon, I'm sure. Anything else? I went way over. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't. No, you did not. That was perfect. I want everyone. You've already thanked Diana, but if you haven't, please thank Diana in the chats. Diana, are you still hosting on Quirky at
I
8?
am. I have a live at 5 on Tuesdays. So
Okay.
I like to be consistent. Um, yeah, Quirky's really great. There's a lot of people here that in BJA that also sell in Quirky, and I think they're real good. Kind of like Lily Works is real good, a real good mix. I've spoken with several of the owners at this point, and so I kind of know they have some ethics, and they really don't want people, they want to have quality. They want people that are going to do the right thing. They don't want shabby stuff that's called shabby chic.
I like
I almost said shabby chic, and I went, wait a minute, I think that's still a thing.
still think I was right. I'm like, it's still a thing, but you're right. As it applies to jewelry, and we have so much opportunity here in Vintage Jewelry Addicts because, as you mentioned, the four-letter curse word that is eBay, and other websites haven't necessarily created a one-stop, trustworthy vintage jewelry shopping destination. So,
They have not.
her who is showing up and continuing to grow and to learn and to take the best photography and the best videos. Our buyers and collectors, thank you so much. We welcome you as sellers as well, but thank you so much for being here. You guys are what make us spin. and make this machine work. And so I just want to leave with a note that, again, Diana has shared a doc with us. It's in the community chat. Please check that out. And we will schedule these every month. If you are a seller, even a collector, and you feel you have something to show, to tell, to share, we would love to have you. Right now, I'm just asking because I don't know who wants to volunteer, but if you would like to volunteer, please message me. Thank you, Eclectic, etc. Oh, cottage core now. Yeah, Debbie.
Gypsy, you need to do a show because I know you know stuff.
I already asked Debbie. And
Oh,
I think she's a yes. I think we got her. And Diana, I want to show you really quick. Wow, I have everyone here, and then we're actually going to raid Jamie. Jamie of Flippin' Vantiques is live.
oh,
Remember the brooch you showed me, and I said I have one. Knockoff.
oh yeah.
It's a
Let me
modern.
make you. Let me make you bigger if I can. I don't know if I can.
I don't think you can. Shoot, I'll send you photos. But so, guys, Diana was showing. Was it a 1940s piece, Diana?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it's 1941 rice wiener. Oh, there it is, right there.
You found it. So see,
It's in the auction. That's why.
mine is it's a play. It's not a dupe. It's not a knockoff, but it
Well,
is a play.
yeah.
Yes.
You know what? You know what I noticed, and they weren't really knocking on. Well, they were like voucher stuff got stole all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but and so did Eisenberg's. But people, if one designer found something that worked, every other designer had to have their version. And
Yeah.
so they all have similar designs. Also, there were design houses like, or not design houses, but houses that made jewelry like D&E, which everybody calls it Juliana, but it's really Delisa and Elster, and they then um would use the same stones and sometimes the same type of design. So you'll see a Weiss that looks the same as a Sarah Coventry because they all came out of the house of Delisa and Elster. So,
Beanie. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that's not an important piece or that that's not something.
Mhm.
You just have to research it.
Yes, I do.
This guy, I have a picture of the actual card or patent card that they made, so I knew what it was, but I knew
Mm-hmm.
what it was when I bid on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I did
Wow.
it, yeah, and honestly, I knew it was a piece that needed to be like preserved and saved, and so I'm not trying to like. I think I was Vintage Jewelry Addicts just started when I actually got this guy, but he was so perfect online, so I had to do it. I just had to. I may be with him a while, but you just don't know because sometimes all of a sudden I'll open up and I'll find that something sold. Like I had a Chanel novelty company. I didn't have it very long, but that's such a rare piece. And people, they're like, "Oh, why do you want so much for it?" Because it's a rare piece,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd rather pet it than sell it.
Love it, Diana. Well, hey, I will end this live just so that we can all go raid Jamie. She's kicking off. We have 3 live sales tonight. Jamie, Melody, and Kristen. If Kristen's still in the chat, Kristen will be live at 9. Diana, thank you so much again. I will chat with
Princess
you.
Wave below the crown.
Oh
Got
my
below the crown. It's got to be
God,
like this, below the crown. So here's your crown.
below the crowd. Oh my guys, we have to have Diana on again. This
I
was great.
learned this from. I used to sell jewelry at the gay bar, and that's where I learned the Princess Wave.
That's amazing. That's amazing. All right, Princess Wave. Goodbye, everyone. See
Bye
you at Jamie.
bye. Below the crown.
Oh
See
my
ya.
God. Bye.